In the early 1500s, Spanish soldiers marching through the mountains of South America heard a story that would drive men mad for the next 200 years. A tribal chief, covered head to toe in gold dust, bathing in a sacred lake while his people threw gold treasures into the water as offerings to a god below the surface. The Spanish gave him a name, El Dorado, the Gilded One. Within a few decades, that single ceremony had transformed into something else entirely, a hidden city built completely out of gold. It never existed. Everyone kept looking anyway. This is Atlasora, step beyond the map. The story starts with something that was likely real. High in the Andes, near modern-day Colombia, a local legend described a ritual performed by the Muisca people whenever a new chief rose to power. At Lake Guatavita, the new chief's body was coated entirely in gold dust. He was set onto a raft and sent out onto the water, while his people threw gold objects and jewels into the lake as offerings, not to hoard wealth, but to honor a god they believed lived beneath the surface. By the time the Spanish arrived, the tribe behind this specific ritual had reportedly already been defeated by rivals, decades earlier. The ceremony itself may have already ended. That detail didn't stop the story from spreading. If anything, it made it worse. A golden man, somewhere out there, and no one could say exactly where to find him. Legends don't usually stay the same size. This one grew fast. Within about 20 years, the Gilded Man became a gilded king, someone who wore gold constantly, not just during a single ceremony. Within another few years, the king became a kingdom, and by the mid-1500s, El Dorado wasn't a person at all anymore. It was a lost city, built from solid gold, waiting somewhere in the jungle for whoever could find it first. Nobody had actually seen this city. That barely mattered. By 1545, Spanish expeditions were already forming specifically to find it. When explorers reached Lake Guatavita itself, they didn't just search the shoreline. They tried to drain the entire lake. They didn't fully succeed, but they got far enough to expose part of the lake bed and pulled out real gold artifacts in the process, which was, in a strange way, the worst possible outcome. Just enough truth to make the myth feel provable. From here, the story stops being about gold and starts being about what people were willing to do to get it. Gonzalo Pizarro led an expedition deep into the region, torturing local inhabitants for information about the city's location. Many of them likely invented answers just to survive the interrogation, sending Pizarro's men further into terrain that offered them nothing but starvation and disease. Decades later, the English explorer Sir Walter Raleigh became convinced the city was real and launched 2 separate expeditions to find it. His second attempt ended in disaster. His own son was killed in a conflict with Spanish forces, a conflict Raleigh had been explicitly ordered to avoid. When he returned home, that failure, among other charges, led directly to his execution. A rumor about a golden man had by this point gotten people killed on 2 different continents. What's strange about El Dorado isn't that people believed in a lost city. Plenty of legends survive because they're comforting, or symbolic, or too old to fact-check easily. El Dorado grew for the opposite reason. It kept getting more specific, more findable, more real. Precisely because there was gold at the end of the story. Not myth for its own sake. Myth built by people who badly wanted it to be true, one exaggeration at a time. The ceremony was probably real. The city never was. But for 2 centuries, the difference didn't stop a single expedition. Some places the map just runs out. If you want to keep going past the edge of it, subscribe and I'll see you at the next ruin. This has been Atlasora.